So we were discussing minimax and expecti-max and expecti-minimax last time, and we had we have talked about some of the examples. So just to recap, in minimax strategy, you have two players. One is the max player, and the other one is the mini player. And both of these players are trying to minimize the advantage of each other. In case of expecti-max, the min player is actually replaced by an expecti or an expectation player. That means that the decision that is made by the opponent, that is based upon some probability calculations. So you have a chance node instead of a min node in case of expecti-max. And when you combine the two together, then it becomes expecti-minimax. And here is an example of expecti-max. You can see here in case of an expecti-max, you have a chance node here. This chance node is primarily is because here some random process is being involved here. So say, for example, player one chooses a card, and then the dice is actually rolled, and based upon the outcome of the die, the future course of action in this game is actually taken into consideration. So you have a max node, and then the choice of player two is based upon some outcome of some random process. So this is what expecti-max would look like. Okay, so the example of expecti-max, in case of expecti-max, you can't really prune away certain parts of the tree. So for example, if you have, let's say, 3 outcomes under this particular node, you can if some utility function calculates the value of 2 for this node, and some utility function is applied to calculate the value for this particular node, and there is a third node also. So you can't really leave this calculation out, because based upon this value, the value to the chance node here is actually calculated or applied. If I'll leave out this particular node, then the value would change. For example, if I don't consider this node here, then the value that you can have here is 3, right? With a probability of, let's say, 0.5 each here. But if you include this node, then the probability equally divides between these 3 different nodes. So that would be 1 by 3. The probability would be 1 by 3 of each of the node. And if the evaluation here is, let's say, 2, then the value here again changes. Okay, so it won't be 3 anymore. So as we discussed last time, that in case of expecti-max, when you are having a chance node, then the linear transformation of the evaluation or some sort of transformation of the evaluation function may result in change of your future course of action. Okay, in case of, so what happens in case of expecti-max is that you have, so you go all the way down to your leaf node, whatever your leaf node is, you go all the way down to the leaf node, calculate or do some evaluations, and that's what you call as assignments. So you assign the evaluations, and then those evaluations are basically transmitted above towards the root of the tree by calculating the expectations. So you calculate the expectations, and then finally you calculate the value at the root node. Okay. So here you have got, in this particular example, you have got two expectations, layers of expectations or levels of expectations. The reason that you have got two levels of expectations here, that means that two chance nodes consecutively. The reason for that is that you have a Pac-Man and then there are two ghosts that are associated with that. So therefore one node here would be associated with one type of ghost and the second node will be associated with the second type of ghost. Okay, and both of them have to move. Therefore, there will be two chance nodes associated with that. Okay. So we have seen with the help of a few examples last time कि expectee max कि किस तरह से होता है Pac-Man और expectee और minimax Pac-Man के अंदर किस तरह से difference आते हैं. So we have actually gone through these examples and seen कि किस तरीके से behavior जो है वो change होता है. So I'll not go over this again, but I'll just very quickly go over the expected minimax. Here you have min node, chance node, and the maximization node or the max node. All these three are here. Okay, and then let's say if it is an expected minimax player, then at this level you calculate the minimum of whatever the evaluation is at the children, and then at this level you calculate the expectations, and at this level you calculate the maximum. So in this particular example, the minimum of the two will be 2 here, minimum of these two will be 1 here, the minimum of these two will be 0 here, the minimum of these two will be -1 here. So this is the min level, and then you calculate the expectations. The average expectations are calculated, and these nodes are evaluation, and then the maximum of the two is actually transferred to this max node. Okay, so this is how this actually calculates. So according to this particular calculation, max would always choose this particular move that we have discussed, and that you have here. Okay. So in summary, minimax, the opponent and yourself, both of you actually act rationally, and you can't really expect आपका जो opponent है वो कोई mistake करेगा. Expecting max में your opponent is considered to be based is behaving in one way probabilistically. That means in a way randomly. And then you have the expecting minimax, where it's actually a combination of both these behaviors. Okay, so now coming to our discussion for today, that is on alpha-beta pruning. Now, alpha-beta pruning is a method that reduces your search space in adversarial games. Okay, adversarial games के अंदर the idea behind alpha-beta pruning is that how can you make your search more efficient? कि ऐसा हो सकता है कि आप कुछ नोट्स को evaluate करें और कुछ नोट्स को आप evaluate ना करें, और ख़ास तौर पे लीफ नोट्स को, और फिर आप जब वैल्यूज को प्रोपोगेट कर रहे हो upwards towards the root node, even if you don't evaluate certain nodes in your search space, even then your calculation won't make any difference, or they aren't any different. So let's just talk about alpha-beta pruning. So कैसे होता है? Now, first thing that I would like to, before we discuss this alpha-beta pruning stuff, I'll just try to explain you how is minimax or expecting minimax or any other search strategy works. Okay, so here you have level 1, then you have level 2, and you have level 3, and let's say then you have another level, and let's say this is your terminal level. Okay, and the search space actually goes in this particular fashion. Okay, it's expanded in this particular fashion, and this is your adversarial search. Okay, or this is your search space. So let's say कि ये आपके पास max node है, and this is your min node. This is your max node again, Okay, and this terminal level is actually termination of your game, and this is your game, and you don't really actually really consider this particular level. So how would you apply this minimax? I mean, I'm not talking about alpha beta pruning. I'm talking about minimax or expectimax or expecti minimax. How would you practically apply this in real games? That's my question. So any ideas on that? G, anyone? If you are asked to implement, then how would you implement say minimax in a game? What type of search strategy would you adopt here? अच्छा, stop at a particular point. Ibrahim का answer ये है कि you stop at a particular point in a game and apply a heuristic function. Fine. But what type of search strategy would you apply? Would it be blind search strategy? So obviously it's heuristic search, but within that heuristic search, how would the traversal of nodes take place? Would it be breadth-wise? Would it be depth-wise? Would it be iterative deepening? Would it be depth-limited iterative deepening? So would it be depth limited, depth first search, DFS? किस तरह की सर्च स्ट्रेटजी आप अडॉप्ट करेंगे? Okay, for in general terms, Daniel, in general terms, what will you apply? I mean, generally, what would you apply? Say, for example, आपके पास इस तरह का गेम ट्री है. Okay, so it's depth limited search. Why depth limited search? Because at a particular depth, you might get some result out of the game. Even if you don't get some result out of the game, you can first of all limit the depth. So I can say that I can limit the depth of my tree to 2 moves of max and 2 moves of min. So you will start from your root node, okay, and you will move depth wise to the terminal node. So you will move all the way down to your terminal node, and here is your terminal node. You will evaluate this node. So some sort of evaluation of this node will be done through some heuristic function, and then you evaluate the other child. Okay, and so you go all the way down to this particular node, evaluate this, and then you evaluate the other child. And when you have evaluated all the children of this particular parent, then you actually transfer the value upwards. So then this node gets evaluated. So once you have evaluated this node, then again all the children underneath this particular node have been evaluated. So you go one way above, and then you go all the way down to the terminal node on this branch, and you evaluate this node. Okay. So this evaluation is done. So let me put this some numbers here. So let's say इसकी evaluation 1 आती है, इसकी evaluation 2 आती है. So then this node, because that's the max node, this node gets an evaluation of 2. So similarly, you go all the way to the parent node, and then you go all the way down to the terminal node on this side. And let's say कि आप इस node को evaluate करते हैं, and the evaluation of this node comes out to be 3, right? And then you go to the other child. Sorry. Then you go to the other child, और यहाँ पे let's say कि इसकी evaluation 4 आती है. So as a result, this node here will get an evaluation of 4. ठीक है? And then you change your path, you go all the way to this parent node, और इस node को आप value assign कर सकते हैं, and the value, because this is the min node, so you can assign a value of 2 here. And then you actually go on this direction, evaluate this, and then on this direction evaluate all these, and then you can propagate these values upward, and finally you can find out this. So it's actually, in terms of implementation, if it is minimax or say expecting minimax, it's primarily depth limited search. Okay, so it's depth first search that you apply in simple terms. अगर आप complete tree को ले रहे होते हैं तो depth limit नहीं करते, then it's depth first search. So the implementation is in depth first manner. So you go all the way down to the leaf node, evaluate it, and then you propagate these values upwards. So you have to keep this thing in mind. So you don't really evaluate all the leaf nodes first. Because so in practical terms, you implement this type of adversarial search strategy by applying depth first search, not breadth first search. Okay, so let's just take this example here. So यहाँ पे I've written, or the slide here actually shows that this node is pruned. Okay, it says कि इस node को आप prune कर सकते हैं. You don't really need to evaluate this node. That what it means कि आप you can actually throw away this node out of your search. ठीक है. और before we come to this discussion कि ये इसको prune आप क्यों कर सकते हैं, let's see कि ये implement कैसे हुआ होगा. So from your root node, which is here, which is your root node, you select the leftmost branch, let's say, और यहाँ पे आप इस node पे आते हैं, and go, then you go one level down, and you reach this, for example, this terminal node, evaluate this node, and then you evaluate this node, and then you evaluate this node, and then you evaluate this node, right? And once all these four nodes are evaluated, you give a value at this particular level. So you assign a value at this particular level. This is player number 1, and this is max player, so you get the maximum value here. And let's say that the maximum value आपके पास कितनी है, which is 17. So you get a value of 17 here. ठीक है. A value of 17 is applied, and then you go here, and then you go all the way down there, and you evaluate this particular node. That comes out to be 5, and you propagate this value. This 5 comes here, ठीक है, right? And then obviously इसके अभी और भी children available है, so you can't really evaluate this root node at this present point in time. So you go all the way down up, and then you come to this particular node and evaluate this particular node, and that comes up to be 12. Let's suppose these are some values that I've assigned. और फिर आप इसको evaluate करते हैं, that comes out to be 9, और यहाँ पे आप value assign कर सकते हैं, that comes out to be 12, right? So this value comes out to be 12. And similarly आप इधर भी करेंगे, and you will actually move depth wise. So जब आप depth wise move कर रहे होंगे, ये nodes अभी evaluate नहीं हुए होंगे, तो evaluates आप ये node उस वक्त evaluate करेंगे जब आप इस node के ऊपर पहुंचेंगे. So you go all the way up here, you go down, evaluate this node, and then start propagating these values once all the children of these particular node जो है ना वो आप evaluate कर लें. So let's say कि ये evaluation आपके पास आ गई, so finally you'll get an evaluation of 18 here, right? You get an evaluation of 18 if it is player number 1. So अगर ये player 1 है आपके पास, तो यहाँ पे the root would belong to player number 2, so you get the minimum of all these. Okay, so the minimum of all these would primarily be 5 in this particular case. ठीक है. और अगर आप इस board की situation को change करते हैं, then you get a different value. Okay, so this is how this is actually applied. Okay, so in case of the depth first search, I'll just show you this particular example, and that would help you understand कि depth first search application जो है वो इस case में कैसे होती है. So you go so here, how is it done? You go all the way from your root node down to your leaf node, evaluate this node. ठीक है? So you can't really say anything about this particular node here. The reason for that is कि इसके नीचे दो और nodes हैं जो कि आपने evaluate अभी करने हैं. So you evaluate the other node and then third node, and now you get a value of 3 here, right? So this is depth-wise implementation of that. Similarly, if you evaluate all the other nodes depth-wise, then you get this. Okay, the parent node here is max, so you get a value of 3 here. Okay, the parent node is max, so यहाँ पे you get a value of 3. I hope this is clear. अच्छा, so this is the worst case outcome for max in case of minimax strategy. Okay, so if you are applying depth first search here, can I reduce my search? अच्छा, इस सूरत में how many nodes I have evaluated? I've actually evaluated 9 nodes at this level, and then I have transferred values to these 3 nodes here, and then I have evaluated this one node. So altogether, I've evaluated 13 nodes. Okay. Can I reduce these evaluations, these number of evaluations? That's the question. Can I reduce these number of evaluations here? Right? Any ideas? And if in either case, क्या मैं number of evaluations को reduce कर सकता हूँ? अगर नहीं कर सकता तो क्यों? और अगर मैं कर सकता हूँ तो कैसे? G, anyone? Okay, so let me just ask maybe someone. Okay, Emma Zubair. Any ideas? क्या ऐसा हो सकता है कि ये number of evaluations जो कि 13 मैंने यहाँ पे की हैं, can I reduce these evaluations?
ये जो 3 और 2 ये evaluations हैं इनको reduce करना?
नहीं, number of nodes जो मैंने evaluate किए हैं, इस पूरे scenario में मैंने कितने nodes evaluate किए हैं? So let's say 3 nodes ये हैं, then you have 3, and then you have another 3. So there are 9 nodes that are evaluated at this level. Right?
And 3 above.
3 nodes evaluated at this level, and there is 1 node that has been evaluated at this level. So altogether there were 13 nodes that were evaluated. Can I reduce these evaluations to less than 30? That's the question. Okay. I hope the question is clear. Ji? Everyone? So is the question clear, Ji? Okay. So ठीक है. So let's just ask Yusuf this time. Yusuf, do you have anything in mind कि जिसको apply करते हुए मैं इन 13 evaluations को 13 nodes की evaluations को मैं reduce कर सकूं?
Sir, since we want to maximize the score, so we can like focus on the nodes which have the max score for the max player.
Okay. But how would you focus on those nodes? Because आप जब depth first apply कर रहे होंगे, जिस node पे आप होंगे उसको तो आपने evaluate कर लिया, लेकिन बाकी nodes कभी आपने evaluate नहीं किया, right? So let's say कि इसी example में अगर हम लें, तो when you are here somewhere, आपने सिर्फ इस node को अभी evaluate किया, बाकी nodes को तो evaluate नहीं किया. So I really don't know कि बाकी nodes की evaluation क्या होंगी. So how can I focus on those nodes जिनको मैंने अभी evaluate ही नहीं किया? Remember, understand this कि depth wise आप कर रहे हैं ना, तो आप सबसे पहले जो मैक्सिमम डेप्थ पे जाके आप एक नोड को वैल्यूएट करेंगे और फिर आप उसी डेप्थ के ऊपर दूसरे नोड को वैल्यूएट करेंगे, फिर तीसरे के अंदर so on and so forth. अच्छा, Maz has said that since Max will visit all nodes once, it can store minimum in some variable, then min can later use without having to visit all the nodes. अच्छा Maz, I couldn't follow जब आप ये कह रहे हैं since Max will visit all nodes. What do you mean by that?
सर मेरा मतलब ये है कि जो मैक्सिमम है ऊपर, उसके लिए तो एक दफ़ा ट्रिवर्सल सारी नोड्स का हम कर लेते हैं, लेकिन हम साथ स्टोर कर लेते हैं उसमें जो मिनिमम और मैक्सिमम आगे लीफ नोड्स पे वैल्यू आ रही है, ताकि जब हम मिनिमम के लिए हम एल्गोरिथम को रन करेंगे तो इंस्टेड ऑफ मिनिमम हैविंग टू गो टू लाइक ऑल 3 नोड्स, जो भी चॉइस लेंगे उसके बाद बाकी 3 नोड्स पे जाने के बजाय हम सिर्फ चेक कर ले कि हमारे पास मिनिमम कौन सी वैल्यू है और उस नोड पे चला जाए।
अच्छा, लेकिन मैक्स तमाम नोड्स पे कैसे जाएगा? मैक्स तो लेट्स से कि इस लेवल पे बैठा हुआ है, इस लेवल के ऊपर, तो मैक्स किस तरह से तमाम नोड्स के ऊपर जाएगा? बिकॉज मैक्स एक वक्त में एक ही मूव कर रहा होगा ना। तो लेट्स से कि मैक्स ने ये मूव की और उसके बाद मिन की मूव्स हैं, तो मिन ये 3 मूव्स पॉसिबल कर सकता है, और मिन ने अपनी मूव करने से पहले वो क्या किया कि इस मूव को वैल्यूएट किया और ये वैल्यू उसके पास आ गई, और यहाँ पे उसके पास लेट्स से ये 2 नोड्स अभी वैल्यूएट उसने नहीं किए, क्योंकि यहाँ पे डेप्थ वाइज अगर आप मूव कर रहे हैं तो यहाँ पे तो अभी वो पहुंचे ही नहीं है, ठीक है ना। यानी वो इसने ये मूव अभी एवेल्युएट ही नहीं की, ठीक है। तो जब वो प्लान कर रहा होगा तो ये इस मूव को वैल्यूएट करेगा और फिर इस मूव को वैल्यूएट करेगा और फिर इस मूव को वैल्यूएट करेगा, ठीक है। सो क्वेश्चन ये है कि मिन ने इन 3 मूव्स को वैल्यूएट किया और फिर यहाँ पे एक वैल्यू आई। क्या ऐसा हो सकता है कि मैं कम मूव्स को वैल्यूएट करूं और यहाँ पे टॉप पे जो मेरे पास रिजल्ट आ रहा है वो रिजल्ट जो है वो वही हो which you get after evaluating all the nodes? जी जोहा।
सर मैं वैल्यूज़ के टर्म्स में सोच रही हूँ कि अगर हम इस तरह ट्री को वैसे ही रखें कि लेफ़्ट साइड पे मोस्ट स्मॉलेस्ट होगा, तो फिर हम सिर्फ लेफ़्ट साइड द मोस्ट लेफ़्ट नोड को अगर हम चेक कर लें और बस उसको ये बस असाइन कर दें, तो बाकियों को देखने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है। जैसे हम बाइनरी ट्री में लेफ़्ट पे स्मॉल और राइट पे लार्ज रखते हैं।
आप जो पहले ही जो नोड्स आपने रखे हुए हैं वो आप उस तरतीब से रखें कि आपके पास जो वैल्यूज हैं वो इंक्रीजिंग वैल्यू हो, तो उससे आप किसी तरह से ओके। सो द प्री अरेंजमेंट ऑफ नोड्स जो है ना दैट इज आल्सो पॉसिबल, लेकिन देयर इज एन आल्सो एन इंटरेस्टिंग वे ऑफ लुकिंग एट दिस सर्च एंड आई थिंक दिस वुड really help you in understanding कि आप किस तरह से nodes की evaluations को कम कर सकते हैं. Remember, our aim is to reduce the number of evaluations. ठीक है. So let's suppose कि I haven't really put anything और यानी किसी प्री अरेंजमेंट के अंदर मैंने नोट्स को भी नहीं डाला हुआ, they are just randomly there. Okay, so how would this search proceed? So let's just start this here. So by applying depth first search, you go to the first leftmost terminal node. यहाँ पे आपने इस node को evaluate किया, and then you go to the. So let's suppose कि ये 2 nodes यहाँ पे ना हो. Let's assume कि ये 2 nodes यहाँ पे नहीं है. So then this node will get a value of 3, right? You're all with me here? ओके, सो अगर ये आप evaluations नहीं करते तो यहाँ पे evaluation आपके पास 3 आएगी, ठीक है। ओके, लेकिन somehow you decide कि आपने यानी इन 2 ब्रांचेस को आपने evaluate करना है या इनमें से कम एक ब्रांच को evaluate करना है in a hope कि you get, because this is min here na? So what is the goal for min here? The goal for min is to reduce this advantage. So far the advantage that this node has got is 3, ठीक है, क्योंकि इसके चाइल्ड में आपने एक को evaluate किया है and you have got a 3 here. So there is still a chance कि इन 2 नोड्स के अंदर में से कोई एक ऐसा नोड आ जाए जिसकी evaluation जो है वो 3 से कम हो, right? अगर 3 से कम होगी only then this node will get affected. Suppose I go all the way down to this node और यहाँ पे evaluation 1 आ जाती है. So will this node get affected? Of course this node will get affected. यहाँ पे आपके पास evaluation 3 की जगह 1 आ जाएगी. Right? So let's suppose कि यहाँ पे evaluation 1 ना आए, यहाँ पे evaluation 4 आ जाए, तो उस केस के अंदर this node will not get affected. Okay, so the evaluation of this node will remain 3. Why 3? क्योंकि यहाँ पे minimum नहीं आना है, and because you have got a higher value than 3, therefore this evaluation will not affect the evaluation at this level. Okay, same is the case here. In a hope that you get a lower value, okay, so in a hope that you get a lower value, you can evaluate this node and then you can evaluate this node, and the hope here is that you can get a value less than 3. Okay, so therefore you got a value 12 here, so obviously यहाँ पे जो value आएगी वो 3 ही होगी, 3 से कम नहीं होगी अभी तक. You haven't really evaluated this node yet. ठीक है, ये move आपने अभी evaluate नहीं की. You still have to evaluate this node. But will you evaluate this node or not? You will definitely evaluate, क्योंकि there is a possibility कि यहाँ पे evaluation 3 से कम. You haven't really evaluated this, but there is still a hope कि ये 3 से कम हो. 3 से ज़्यादा भी हो सकती है, 3 से कम भी हो सकती है. लेकिन you can't really decide कि ये 3 से कम होगी, या you can't really decide कि अगर मैं इसको expand नहीं करता, इस node को, इस branch को मैं evaluate नहीं करता, you can't really decide that. तो फिर अगर आप इसको expand नहीं करते तो यहाँ पे evaluation 3 ही रहेगी और वो effect नहीं होगी किसी भी से. ठीक है, so you'll have to evaluate this. Okay. Okay, I'll come to this this point. Acha, reduce evaluations. I'll just come to this point in a while. Just wait. Okay, so you got 3 here, and now let's move on to the other branch here. Remember, कि यहाँ पे you have got an evaluation of 3. Let's move on to the other side. So अब क्या होगा? You will go all the way down to this node and evaluate this. ठीक है? So let's say कि मैंने इसको evaluate किया और यहाँ पे I've got a 2 here. ठीक है? So let's assume कि let's say कि मेरे evaluation function 2 आता है. And because this is min level, the chances are that you can get a value of 2 here unless ये 2 branches जो है ना वो आपको 2 से कम value दें. Is it clear? Only then this evaluation will get changed if the evaluation here and the evaluation here is less than 2. So only then this will get changed. I hope this is clear. Is this point clear? Okay, this evaluation of this node will only get changed if this is less than 2, because this level is min. If this, okay. So if these 2 evaluations here, if these 2 evaluations are greater than 2, will that affect this? No. If these evaluations are less than 2, will that affect this? Yes. So the value would be less than 2. लेकिन इसका parent node क्या है? Parent node जो है वो max है. That means कि इन दोनों में से max यहाँ पे आएगा. At present, ये value इधर transfer होगी. ये value इधर transfer नहीं हो सकती because this is 2. And this node will never get a value. This node here will never get a value greater than 3. Is there a possibility कि ये node 3 से बड़ी value अचीव कर सके गिवन कि यू हैव गॉट अ 2 here? No. So that means कि अगर मैंने इस 2 को evaluate कर लिया है, and if I simply prune away these nodes, if I don't really evaluate these nodes, even then the evaluation at this level will not change. At this level will not change. Okay, so as soon as I get a value less than 3 on a branch, I can stop further expansion. I can stop evaluating further nodes. So यहाँ पे मैं I went all the way down here. I got a value of less than 3, which is 2 here, and the level is min. So therefore बाकी 2 nodes को evaluate करने की मुझे जरूरत नहीं है. ठीक है, so I'll not be evaluating the other 2 nodes. क्यों? क्योंकि इन 2 nodes को evaluate करने की वजह से इसकी evaluation के ऊपर कोई फर्क नहीं है. Okay. So these I've reduced the number of evaluations. तो इस केस में number of evaluations को मैंने reduce कर दिया. अच्छा, what about this? So यहाँ पे मैंने इन 2 को eliminate कर दिया, इसको मैंने evaluate कर दिया. So what about this? I go all the way down to this node and I evaluate this. So suppose यहाँ पे भी 2 आ जाता है. Let's suppose कि यहाँ पे भी 2 आ जाता है. अगर यहाँ पे भी 2 आता है, इसका मतलब यहाँ पे possibly 2 होगा, और ये 2 nodes, ये 2 evaluations जो हैं, they will not affect this particular node anymore, क्योंकि यहाँ पे max आना है and the maximum value is 3. So यहाँ पे अगर फर्ज करें 1 होता तो यहाँ पे फिर भी 3 होता. ठीक है, अगर यहाँ पे 0 होता यहाँ पे फिर भी 3 होता, अगर यहाँ पे -1 होता यहाँ पे फिर भी 3 होता. ठीक है, so as soon as you get a value less than 3 of a terminal node, you can prune away the other parts. You are pruning other parts would mean that you don't really need to evaluate the others. अच्छा, but let's suppose कि यहाँ पे 2 evaluations ना होती, 2 evaluation of this node ना होती, यहाँ पे evaluation 4 आती, तो इसका मतलब ये था कि यहाँ पे आपके पास value 4 आ सकती थी. अच्छा, जब यहाँ पे value 4 आ रही है तो इसका मतलब this value would change this now. ठीक है, यहाँ पे 4 आ जाएगी. So there is a hope कि अगर मैं इसको further evaluate करूँ, I might get a value higher than 4. So इस केस में I can't really prune this. The reason for that is कि यहाँ पे there is a possibility. Okay, so in this case also I can't really prune this particular node. इसको मैं नहीं कर सकता. उसकी रीजन ये है कि यहाँ पे मेरे पास एक हायर वैल्यू आ सकती है, there is a possibility. So let me just put another number here. So let's just say इसकी evaluation, let's say मेरे पास हाँ, let me put this कि मेरे पास यहाँ पे वैल्यू 10 आती है. I mean probably this would be a better example. So फर्ज करें कि इस नोड की evaluation मेरे पास 10 आती है. So there is a possibility कि यहाँ पे 10 आ सकता है. ठीक है, अच्छा, यहाँ पे अगर वैल्यू 10 से कम होगी तो this node will get changed, right? But this 10 compared to this 3 is still high. So there is a possibility कि यहाँ पे दूसरे नोड की evaluation 8 हो and this gets changed, और हो सकता है इसके बाद तीसरे नोड की evaluation यहाँ पे 6 हो, so this gets changed. So ये नोड जो है, if the first leftmost node जो है, अगर उसकी evaluation greater than 3 आ रही है, then there is a possibility कि बाकी nodes जो हैं वो आपके max की evaluation को change कर सकेंगे. But as soon as you get the leftmost child की evaluation less than the evaluation which you have already got here, which is 3, you may not need to evaluate any further node on that branch. I hope this is clear, जी. इसमें is there any question? Any questions so far? Okay, so let me just go over this this again. So this is depth first search implementation, and we'll apply AlphaBeta pruning here to reduce the number of nodes. So reduce the number of node evaluations. So this is how this would work. The first node that you evaluate is 3. So min gets a value of 3 or less than 3. Or max gets a value of 3 or greater than 3 at this particular node. And then you evaluate the other node, you get 12. So the evaluation at this node and at this node does not change. Okay. Then here you get a value of 8. Again, the evaluation at this node and this node will not get changed. So here it's deterministic now. That means that the value can't be anything other than 3. तो min की evaluation आपके पास 3 है, लेकिन ये max node के अभी और भी branches हैं जिनको आपने evaluate करना है. Therefore here the value could be 3 or any value greater than 3, not less than 3. ठीक है. So you go to the next branch, go all the way down to the leaf node, evaluate it, and once you evaluate it, ये जो min level है यहाँ पे you get a value of 2 or less than 2. ठीक है. So the value here could be 2 or less than 2. The value here is already 3, so it can't be greater than 3. So if it can't be it can't be greater than 2. If it can't be greater than 2, then this node will never get affected because of that, because here min जो है वो 2 से ज़्यादा बड़ी value आने नहीं देगा यहाँ पे किसी भी सूरत. And that would mean I can actually leave out the other nodes. उनको मैं further किसी move को under this particular node evaluate करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है मुझे, because this will not affect the advantage of max. ठीक है. So similarly on the other side, the last branch, if I get the leftmost evaluation of the node as 14, so here the value could be 14 or less than 14. So if this is 14 or less than 14, then this node could get a value of anything between 3 and 14. Anything between 3 and 14 is possible at this particular node. ठीक है. So अगर आप इन फर्दर ब्रांचेस को evaluate करते हैं तो यहाँ पे value less than 14 आती है, तो this would get affected here, and as a result इसकी evaluation, इसकी upper range जो है वो change हो जाती है. Let's say कि यहाँ पे मैं इसको evaluate करता हूँ, इसके नीचे मैं एक branch को evaluate करता हूँ और यहाँ पे value 1 आ जाती है, so this will get 1. ठीक है. So as a result you will get a 3 here, so the value would never reduce than 3. But let's say कि यहाँ पे वैल्यू जो है वो 10 आ जाती है. ठीक है. तो उस केस में यहाँ पे मिनिमम आएगा which is 10, और यहाँ पे 14 की जगह you will get a 10 here. So now the value so it would be so now the value would be for the max node, the value would be between 3 and 14. 3 to 10, anything between 3 and 10 or 3 or 10, any of these two values. Okay. So therefore you will continue expanding this branch. You can't really prune away these branches because these would affect this particular node. So you see the first node was 14, the second one was 5, and the last one was 2. So you have a 2 आया. As soon as you got a 2 here, you can fix the value to this of this particular node to 3. ठीक है. तो इस केस के अंदर out of 13 evaluations we have reduced 2 evaluations. So इन 2 nodes को evaluate करने की या expand करने की अब आपको जरूरत नहीं रही. As a result, the number of evaluations have reduced to 11. जी, is this clear जी? Okay. G, so if now if some search tree is given to you and you are asked कि इसमें से आप ऐसे nodes को identify कर लें which shouldn't have been expanded, you can easily identify those nodes, और आप अपनी search space को reduce कर सकते हैं. This is what you call as the alpha beta pruning. Acha, why do you call it alpha and beta? Alpha beta is primarily the value, the least advantage that you get, or the advantage based upon which you can actually eliminate any children of min node is what you call as the alpha value. Okay, इन nodes को आपने किस base के ऊपर eliminate किया है? इन nodes को आपने इस base पे eliminate किया है क्योंकि the value that you have got at the max node here is 3. Okay, तो आप 3 के साथ compare कर रहे हैं इस value को, right? So this 3 here will be what you call as the alpha value. Okay, so the alpha value is again the least advantage that max could get, and that advantage would help you eliminate some of the nodes that are associated with the min level. ठीक है, so the alpha value here जिसकी base के ऊपर आप pruning कर रहे हैं is what you call as the alpha value. ठीक है, और अगर इसको मैं चेंज कर दूं, फॉर एग्जांपल ये मैक्स की जगह यहाँ पे मिन होता, ठीक है, और यहाँ पे मैक्स होता, नाउ यू कैन सी द सेम लॉजिक अगर आप अप्लाई करते हैं तो यू कैन गेट ऑलमोस्ट डिफरेंट आंसर. ठीक है, तो अगर मिन का कट मिन वैल्यू के ऊपर कोई कट लगता है तो देन दैट इज व्हाट यू कॉल एज द बीटा वैल्यू. Okay, let's just move on to this particular example. So I've shown an example here. और इसमें यानी you have applied depth first search और आपने तमाम branches को evaluate किया. लेकिन अगर मैं अल्फा बीटा प्रूनिंग के थ्रू इसको करता तो कुछ नोड्स को मैं एवेल्युएट ना कर पाता और कुछ नोड्स को मुझे एवेल्युएट नहीं करना चाहिए था. ठीक है, और वो कौन से नोड्स थे जिनको एवेल्युएट ना भी मैं करता तो मेरा आंसर जो है वो चेंज ना होता एट दिस पर्टिकुलर लेवल. इस लेवल के ऊपर मेरा आंसर चेंज ना होता. ठीक है, एंड इन ऑर्डर टू डू दैट आपको पहले लेवल्स फिक्स करने पड़ेंगे. इसको मैक्स लेवल कह दें, इसको मिन लेवल कह दें, इसको मैक्स लेवल कह दें, इसको मिन लेवल कह दें. ठीक है, इफ कंप्लीट मिन मैक्स स्ट्रेटजी इज अप्लाइड तो आपके पास इन तमाम नोड्स को एवेल्युएट करना चाहिए था. और अगर आप अल्फा बीटा प्रूनिंग अप्लाई करते हैं तो देयर वुड डेफिनेटली बी फ्यू नोड्स जिनको एवेल्युएट करने की जरूरत नहीं थी आपको. ठीक है, सो लेट्स जस्ट ट्राई टू सी कि किन नोड्स को आप एलिमिनेट कर सकते हैं. Just take a few seconds to evaluate this and find out कि किन nodes को आपने unnecessarily expand किया, उनको expand करने की जरूरत नहीं थी. या अगर अल्फा बीटा प्रूनिंग में अप्लाई करता हूँ तो कौन से nodes ऐसे हैं जिनको मैं प्रून कर सकता हूँ या एलिमिनेट कर सकता हूँ. Okay, this level is max level. ठीक है, जो सीधा ट्रायंगल है that is max level और जो उल्टा ट्रायंगल है that is the mean level. अच्छा, that is the generally the nomenclature जो कि यूज किया जाता है. तो this is max and this is mean and this is again max and this is mean. ओके, मास का ख्याल है कि इफ आई एम करेक्ट, तो आप इसको प्रून कर सकते हैं और फिर
जी सर, और L को
और इसको प्रून कर सकते हैं।
यस
ओके, MNN2। अच्छा, तैमूर कह रहे हैं कि जी M और N को आप एवेल्युएट कर सकते हैं। M और N को एवेल्युएट करने का मतलब ये है कि आप H को भी, इस नोड को आप एक्चुअली प्रून कर सकते हैं। दैट्स व्हाट यू आर suggesting, Taimur? Because if you are actually eliminating this, it actually means कि आप इसको पूरे की इस सब ब्रांच को completely eliminate कर, right? जी, so do we all agree with this कि आप J की ब्रांच को और उसकी सब ब्रांचेस को एलिमिनेट कर सकते हैं, दिस वन, और इसको एलिमिनेट कर सकते हैं। आई एम नॉट गिविंग यू द आंसर, आई एम just reiterating the answers which I've got from you। और फिर आप ये कह रहे हैं कि जी आप इस ब्रांच को भी एलिमिनेट कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, अली का ख्याल ये है कि हम H और I को एलिमिनेट नहीं कर सकते, H कांट बी एलिमिनेटेड। साजिद का भी यही ख्याल है। ठीक है, so there is a confusion or there is a disagreement here on these nodes कि क्या ये nodes हम प्रून कर सकते हैं, यानी H node और उसकी सब ब्रांच को। जी, so what is the majority view here? Can we just prune N? हाँ जोहरा। Okay, anyways, just take your time, work out this example, alpha beta pruning, and there are a few other examples. Hopefully, I'll upload the slides और उसके अंदर कुछ और examples भी होंगी, maybe even a complex example than this. In our next class, I'll just very quickly go over one or two examples more, and then we'll start another topic, and that is classification. And that is the next thing that we'll be starting. But you'll have the slides with you, और आप इसको workout करें और देखें कि what is the real answer. So now you have a quiz, so I guess we can end the session now, and you can take your quiz now. Okay, thank you very much.